Absolutely not. We should not let our closest allies, and we welcome them open arms when things straighten themselves out. But no, the answer is absolutely not. So that's the answer. Simply not. I don't want them in Ontario. I want to protect our people of Ontario first.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is normally pretty welcoming of Americans, but as you heard right there, he said, no, we don't want them here right now. Maybe after this pandemic is over, but not now. He's asking Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to say no to an American proposal that would have reopened the Canada-US border sooner rather than later. Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has already said no to the Americans, and now they're looking at extending that border closure for another 30 days. Now, as far as opening Canada back up after this pandemic, relaxing some of the restrictions, the border is pretty much the only big measure that the federal government has, and the rest is up to your local, provincial, or municipal government to start relaxing restrictions. So when will that be? Well, that depends on where you live. British Columbia, for example, is ahead of the curve that Ontario is on. Quebec, it's the hot spot right now, but could be out of this sooner than Ontario. Ontario is growing at a slower rate, but it's going to take longer to get to the peak. Still, speaking to specialists, speaking to doctors, epidemiologists, they are saying that by the middle of May, we should start returning to normal. Now, here's the warning. Getting back to normal isn't going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be, bang, everything's open again. We're back at it. No, it's actually going to be a slow process. What will it look like? That'll depend on, again, your location. Saskatchewan, for example, has very few cases. They can probably get back to normal a lot quicker than Toronto, where I'm sitting, and the majority of the cases for Ontario are located. They're, within a short drive of me. So it's going to take longer in this area. What can we be looking at? Well, probably school is going to be closed for a little while later. I mean, some provinces have already canceled the year, others have not, but schools won't be opening right away. Restaurants, as they reopen, at first it'll just be takeout, then it will be limited seating so that you don't have people crowded together. One of the ways that restaurants and bars make their money is that they get as many of us as possible into them to have a good time. And guess what? Being that close to people, enjoying the fun, the activity, whether it's your local pub or a fancy restaurant or a family diner, being around other people is part of it. You're going to be further away from other people for the foreseeable future. Workplaces will reopen in terms of whether you can work on your own or if you're going to be in close quarters. And if you're in close quarters, there may be changes from how you normally do your job. These are the things that governments are looking at right now. But as you try to figure out when that will happen, I know the Prime Minister is saying it's weeks. That's a good sign. He's not saying months. But really, look to your Premier. It's not going to be up to Justin Trudeau and the federal Liberals to make this decision. They're going to try and coordinate with the premiers, but it is your Premier first, and then most likely your Mayor and City Council that's going to be making many of the decisions that will determine when you can start getting back to normal.